Welcome to Autocar Professional. This is Mukul Yudhvir Singh at SIaT 2026. And standing with me is Girish, who is the head of Automotive for Infineon in India. Girish, welcome to Autocar.
Thank you, Mukul. Nice having me.
Just wanted to understand, what brings you to SIaT 2026? What are you showcasing here?
I think SIaT is a very important event for us in the calendar year because it brings automotive companies as well as the technology partners in one platform. So this time we are showcasing an XN1 which talks about infotainment, connectivity, DC-DC charger. Then we also have inverters starting from 5 kilowatt, 10 kilowatt, 30 kilowatt and the IGBT modules. In addition to that, we also have a BMS solution. Then we are also showcasing other technologies including sensors, sensor fusion, which is very important for the market. And most importantly, what we are seeing, the new technology in terms of ADAS. We also have an ADAS demonstrator kit, which could be used to develop new solutions by both our OEM as well as Tier 1 customers.
SIaT is one of those events where you don't just talk to OEMs, which are your partners, but also a lot of other component makers which use Infineon's platforms, right? How is the uptake in electronics amongst the Tier 1s and Tier 2s apart from OEMs?
I think the electronics is undergoing a transformation today. If you see, about 90% of new technologies that are coming in the next 5 years are all going to be dependent on electronics. And electronics in automotive space are going to be the main driving force on technological transformation that we see, not just in the global markets, but also in Indian markets. So engagement is with OEMs, where we directly engage with them on a lot of new technologies, our platforms, roadmaps. Similarly with Tier 1s and also with design partners that we work with to help develop new technologies which are more customized for the Indian market, as well as develop applications with global players who are developing applications here for the global market.
The owner to vehicle ratio in India is significantly very less. But do you see some similarities in terms of electronics adaptation in India and technology adaptation in India when you compare India's automobile market with the developed ones?
I think it's transitioning. If you look at from 5 years ago to where we are today, the amount of electronics content and features in both Indian cars and two-wheelers has gone up significantly. Simple thing is, a center stack or the infotainment was never standard fitment. I don't think today you can find a single car without that. Power locks, power windows, tailgates are all common. Power seats was never common. More importantly, if you talk of safety, for example, airbags, ABS are driven by regulations and mandatory, but all the OEMs have gone a step ahead. They've actually, instead of having one, they have 2 airbags, then they have a lot of other electronics in vehicles. So if you say we are catching up, we are not there yet compared to a developed market. We are catching up, but the vehicles and the needs of customers in India are also different from there, which is where the OEMs are working with to understand the needs of the customer and developing products that meet it.
Please, let's talk some numbers. In terms of active electronic components in a car today, what does the BOM cost look like when we compare it to, let's say, 5 years ago?
I think if I look at, for example, and let me split up into two-wheelers and passenger vehicles. Two-wheelers, the BOM content about 5 years ago when there was no mandate for EFI, it was a carburetor run, the cluster was mainly a electromechanical cluster, was hardly $5. If you look today, that content has gone up to about $20+. I'm talking of an average 100cc bike, not the high end. Similarly, passenger cars was about $50 to $60. Today, it's about $150. And this, we're talking of ICE vehicles. Now, if I take a two-wheeler EV, it's 3 times, about $60. And if I take a passenger vehicles, it's almost $300 to $500 for a EV. If I talk of a battery electric vehicle, and you talk of, for example, a hybrid, it's pretty close to about $400. So we are seeing 2x, 3x growth in the last 5 years. And this is expected to grow another 3x times in the next 5 years.
One of the interesting things about electronics is that while people understand actives, they don't understand the passive part and they don't usually, include it in the BOM cost. So to talk more numbers, right? Let's say that the average car today in India costs around rupees 10 lakh. if we were to include both the active and the passive electronic components, how much of that cost would be electronics for a 10
If you look at passives, you're looking at, for example, connectors, you're looking at the screens, the LCDs, TFDs, PCBs, then a lot of the other passive components like resistors, capacitors. You're talking about, in a passenger car, about 10 to 15% of the cost is electronics, all electronics put together. You also have some harnesses. And if you look at where we are seeing this go in the next 5 to 10 years, probably 20 to 25% of the cost of your vehicle will be electronics. Because, there's one similar comparison, right? The new car of the future is going to be like a phone on wheels. It's going to be one hardware, one electronics, mainly differentiated by software, and the next generation of electronics, connectivity, safety, ADAS, all of those features that will get incorporated.
Interesting keyword, software-defined vehicles, but I'll come back to that later on, right? So if I get that correctly, 5 years ago, the active-passive BOM cost would be around 5%.
5 to 10%.
Today it is above, north of 15%.
Yeah, 10 to 15%.
In 5 years, it is going to be north of 25%. In luxury car now, let's say the cars that cost 25-30 lakhs in India, what is the BOM today?
It's already close to 20+%.
And where do you see
And we
that?
expect it going close to 40%.
What is driving this change? Because if I go back 10 years down the memory lane and ask somebody to buy a car full of electronics, the first reaction would be, yaar, kharab ho jayega. We just want mechanical, pure car. What is now changed?
Couple of things have changed. Few things that are governed by regulations. For example, a lot of new regulations have come in. For example, in terms of emission requirements, there's also requirements of safety. Other one is comfort. People want more comfort in their vehicles and are ready to pay for it. The most important thing that is driving a lot of this is the reliability. We have learned by incorporating new solutions, new technologies in vehicles, that these are a lot more reliable. And it's no longer the thing where people were worried, more electronics means more problem. If electronics something fails, can I fix it? Can I not fix it? All of these issues are now being resolved. And this, I think, is something that is driving. And people also want better features, more features in their cars and two-wheelers, which is driving this. So it's need, customer-driven, regulations, and more importantly, the technologies have advanced a lot, which is helping them drive this.
Interesting. SDVs. Do you think that the pathway to SDVs, the core of SDVs is also going to be electronics?
Yes, the core of SDV, the backbone of it is definitely electronics. And I think as Infineon, we are very happy to state that we very recently acquired the automotive business of Marvell. And this adds more because it helps us get into zonal architecture, mixed domain architecture. Basically, all the products of Marvell come into it. And these are mainly hardware and very complex software-driven solutions, which help, simplify the vehicle. Because one of the big things today is weight reduction, right? You don't want to run harnesses across all. And these domains control specific features in the vehicle. So a domain, for example, for a door control module, probably controls all the doors. Today you have 4 motors, 4 small ECUs, everything. Rather, it will be controlled centrally. Because if you have number of motors in a car, is 40 to 80 motors today. And you don't want to have that many ECUs in your car. And
one last question, please. If I speak about Infineon's business today, would you say that your dialogue with Tier 1 and Tier 2 has increased 10 to 20-fold over what you did in the last 5 years?
Definitely. I think the pandemic was kind of a transition point where our direct interaction, especially with the OEM started. Earlier, it was mainly with Tier 1s. It was a standard model. OEM would give requirements to the Tier 1s. Tier 1s then develop it, ask us to provide solutions. Today, it's no longer there. The OEMs directly interface with us. They want to understand our roadmaps, how our roadmaps in turn match their developments, their technologies, and then incorporate that.
So more business from Tier 1 and Tier 2s then?
Yes, more business from OEMs. And OEMs have become kind of a determiner today in terms of new business and new technologies.
Perfect. Thank you, Girish, for talking to Auto Car Professional. This is Mukul Yudhveer Singh signing off for Kick It Up.